In a world of constant change, we often find ourselves grasping for stability, clinging to the familiar, and resisting the inevitable flow of life. But what if embracing impermanence could be the key to finding true peace and fulfillment? Today we'll explore the Stoic philosophy of letting go and its profound relevance to our modern lives. Join me as we embark on a journey to understand how accepting the transient nature of all things can lead us to a more grounded, resilient, and ultimately more joyful existence. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies the profound recognition of impermanence, a concept that has shaped the wisdom and teachings of ancient thinkers for centuries. To truly grasp the Stoic perspective on impermanence, we must first turn to the words of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, who wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change." This simple yet powerful statement encapsulates the Stoic understanding that nothing in our world remains static. Everything we encounter, from our material possessions to our relationships and even our own thoughts and emotions, is subject to change and eventual dissolution. Epictetus, another key figure in Stoic philosophy, further elaborated on this idea. They taught that our suffering often stems from our resistance to the natural flow of change. By clinging to our desires for permanence, we create unnecessary distress in our lives. Epictetus advised, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." This acceptance of impermanence forms a cornerstone of Stoic wisdom, providing a framework for navigating life's uncertainties with grace and equanimity. The Stoics understood that by embracing the transient nature of existence, we can free ourselves from the tyranny of attachment and the fear of loss. Seneca, in his letters, often reminded his readers of life's brevity and the importance of living fully in the present moment. He wrote, "Life is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters." This perspective encourages us to focus on the quality of our actions and experiences, rather than futilely trying to hold on to fleeting moments. The Stoic embrace of impermanence extends beyond mere acceptance. It becomes a tool for personal growth and ethical living. By recognizing the temporary nature of our circumstances, we are motivated to act with virtue and purpose in the present moment. So we understand that our legacy lies not in what we accumulate, but in how we conduct ourselves in the face of life's constant changes. As we delve deeper into Stoic philosophy, we find that impermanence is not a cause for despair, but rather a call to live more fully and authentically. It reminds us to appreciate what we have while we have it, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to adapt gracefully to the ever-changing landscape of our lives. Change is the only constant in life, yet so often we find ourselves resisting it, clinging to the familiar and fearing the unknown. But what if we could embrace change instead? What if we could see it not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth and liberation? The Stoic philosophers understood that accepting impermanence is key to finding true peace of mind. They recognized that our suffering often stems from our attachment to things that are inherently transient, our possessions, our status, even our relationships. By accepting the impermanent nature of all things, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. This mental shift requires us to reframe our perspective on change. Instead of viewing it as a disruption to our carefully laid plans, we can see it as a natural and even beneficial part of life. Just as the seasons change, bringing new growth and renewal, so too can the changes in our lives bring fresh opportunities and insights. Embracing impermanence doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. Rather, it allows us to engage more fully with life, unburdened by the weight of expectations and attachments. We can appreciate the present moment more deeply, knowing that it is fleeting and precious. Consider how much mental energy we expend worrying about potential future changes or lamenting past losses. By accepting that change is inevitable, we can redirect that energy towards more productive pursuits. We can focus on adapting, growing, and making the most of our current circumstances. This shift in mindset also fosters resilience. When we expect and accept change, we're better equipped to handle life's ups and downs. We become like the reed that bends in the wind rather than the rigid oak that breaks in the storm. Embracing impermanence can also lead to a profound sense of personal freedom. When we're not tied to specific outcomes or attached to particular states of being, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. We become more flexible, more open to new experiences, and more capable of finding contentment in diverse situations. Remember, accepting change doesn't mean we can't have goals or work towards improvement. It simply means we hold these aspirations lightly, understanding that the journey itself is where true growth occurs. By embracing impermanence, we free ourselves to live more fully in the present, to adapt more readily to life's challenges, and to find peace amidst the constant flux of existence. In our pursuit of happiness, we often find ourselves clinging to material possessions, believing they hold the key to our contentment. Yet the Stoics understood that true fulfillment lies not in what we own, but in how we perceive and interact with the world around us. The Stoic approach to material possessions is rooted in the understanding that all external things are temporary and ultimately beyond our control. By recognizing this impermanence, we can begin to loosen our grip on the objects we hold dear. Consider the words of Epictetus, who said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom challenges us to shift our focus from accumulation to contentment, from wanting more to appreciating what we already have. Practicing detachment from material things doesn't mean living an ascetic life devoid of comforts. Rather, it's about cultivating a mindset that values experiences, relationships, and personal growth over the acquisition of objects. To begin this journey of detachment, start by taking inventory of your possessions. Ask yourself, which of these items truly contribute to my well-being? Which ones am I holding onto out of habit or fear? This process of honest evaluation can be enlightening, revealing attachments we weren't even aware of. Next, practice gratitude for the items you do have. Acknowledge their utility and the value they bring to your life, but remember that they are tools, not extensions of your identity or self-worth. When making new purchases, adopt the Stoic practice of negative visualization. Imagine life without the item you desire. would its absence significantly impact your happiness? This exercise can help curb impulsive buying and foster a more mindful approach to consumption. Another practical tip is to regularly declutter your living space. As you sort through your belongings, reflect on the temporary nature of material things. Let go of items that no longer serve a purpose in your life, and notice the sense of lightness that comes with this release. Consider implementing a one-in, one-out rule for new acquisitions. For every new item you bring into your life, remove one that's no longer needed. This practice helps maintain balance and prevents the accumulation of unnecessary possessions. Lastly, redirect your energy towards experiences and relationships rather than material goods. Invest in activities that enrich your mind and strengthen your connections with others. These intangible investments often yield far greater returns in terms of happiness and personal growth. By embracing the Stoic approach to material possessions, we can find greater freedom and contentment. Remember, true wealth lies not in what we own, but in our ability to find joy and purpose regardless of our external circumstances. In our journey through life, we encounter countless relationships and experience a vast array of emotions. Yet, as we've explored throughout this episode, nothing in this world is permanent, including our connections with others and the feelings that course through us. Understanding impermanence in the context of relationships and emotions can be particularly challenging, as these are often the areas where we cling most tightly to permanence. We yearn for lasting love, unbreakable friendships, and enduring happiness. However, the Stoic perspective invites us to view these aspects of life through a different lens. By accepting the transient nature of relationships, we can cultivate a deeper appreciation for the moments we share with others. Rather than grasping desperately at connections, we can learn to value them for what they are in the present, without the burden of expectation or the fear of loss. This doesn't mean we should avoid forming meaningful bonds. Rather, it allows us to engage more fully and authentically in our interactions. Similarly, recognizing the impermanence of emotions can liberate us from their tyranny. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, these are all temporary states that ebb and flow like the tides. By understanding this, we can avoid being overwhelmed by negative emotions or becoming overly attached to positive ones. Instead, we can observe our emotional landscape with a sense of equanimity, acknowledging each feeling without allowing it to define us. To maintain this equanimity in the face of changing circumstances, we can employ several Stoic strategies. First, practice the art of negative visualization. Regularly imagine losing the relationships or positive emotions you value most. This exercise, far from being morbid, helps us appreciate what we have while we have it and prepares us for potential loss. Second, focus on what is within your control. In relationships, this means concentrating on your own actions and responses rather than trying to control the behavior or feelings of others. In managing emotions, it involves recognizing that while we can't always choose our initial emotional reactions, we can choose how we respond to them. Lastly, Cultivate a broader perspective. When faced with relationship challenges or emotional turmoil, step back and consider the grand scale of existence. Our individual experiences, while significant to us, are but small ripples in the vast ocean of time and space. This perspective can help us maintain composure and react more wisely to life's inevitable changes. By embracing impermanence in our relationships and emotions, we open ourselves to a more authentic and fulfilling way of living. We learn to cherish connections without clinging, to experience emotions without being consumed by them, and to navigate life's ever-changing landscape with grace and resilience. In the ever-changing landscape of life, embracing impermanence can be a powerful catalyst for personal growth and self-improvement. When we truly understand and accept that nothing lasts forever, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities and opportunities for transformation. Consider for a moment how accepting impermanence can shift our perspective on challenges and setbacks. Instead of viewing difficulties as permanent obstacles, we can see them as temporary states, each offering valuable lessons and chances for growth. This mindset allows us to approach problems with curiosity and resilience, rather than fear or despair. Embracing impermanence also frees us from the burden of perfectionism. When we recognize that our current state is not fixed, we become more willing to take risks, experiment, and learn from our mistakes. This openness to change and improvement is the very essence of personal growth. Moreover, accepting the transient nature of life can foster adaptability, a crucial skill in our rapidly changing world. When we're not clinging to the way things were or should be, we become more flexible in our thinking and actions. We can more easily pivot when circumstances shift, finding creative solutions and seizing new opportunities as they arise. This mindset of impermanence also cultivates resilience. By understanding that both positive and negative experiences are temporary, we develop the strength to weather life's storms. We learn to bounce back from setbacks more quickly, knowing that they too shall pass. Embracing impermanence can also lead to a greater appreciation for the present moment and the people in our lives. When we recognize that nothing lasts forever, we're more likely to cherish our experiences and relationships, investing fully in them while we have the chance. In practice, using impermanence as a tool for growth might involve regularly reflecting on how we've changed over time, celebrating our progress while acknowledging that there's always room for further development. It could mean setting goals with the understanding that our aspirations may evolve and being open to adjusting our path as we grow and learn. By viewing life through the lens of impermanence, we can cultivate a growth mindset that embraces change, seeks out new experiences, and continuously strives for self-improvement. This perspective not only leads to personal development, but also equips us with the resilience and adaptability needed to thrive in an ever-changing world. As we navigate the complexities of daily life, practicing detachment can be a powerful tool for maintaining our equanimity and peace of mind. Let's explore some practical exercises and techniques that can help us cultivate this Stoic principle in our everyday experiences. One effective method is the practice of negative visualization. Take a moment each day to imagine losing something you value: your job, a relationship, or a prized possession. This exercise isn't meant to induce anxiety, but rather to remind us of the impermanent nature of all things and to foster gratitude for what we currently have. Another technique is the view from above. When faced with a challenging situation, try to mentally step back and view it from a broader perspective. Imagine looking down on your life from high above. This can help put your problems into perspective and remind you of their transient nature. In our interactions with others, we can practice detachment by focusing on our own actions and responses rather than trying to control outcomes. When engaging in a conversation or negotiation, remind yourself that you can only control your own words and actions, not the other person's reaction or the final result. When it comes to material possessions, consider implementing a regular decluttering practice. Every few months, go through your belongings and ask yourself, would I buy this again today? If the answer is no, consider letting it go. This helps break the cycle of attachment to material things. In dealing with daily annoyances, like traffic jams or long lines, use these moments as opportunities to practice patience and acceptance. Instead of getting frustrated, remind yourself that these situations are temporary and beyond your control. Use the time to practice mindfulness or reflect on your goals. For those struggling with perfectionism, try setting time limits for tasks. This forces you to let go of the desire for perfection and accept that good enough is often sufficient. It's a practical way to apply the Stoic principle of focusing on what's within our control. Lastly, at the end of each day, practice a brief reflection. Review the day's events and notice any instances where you felt particularly attached or resistant to change. Acknowledge these moments without judgment and consider how you might approach similar situations with more detachment in the future. By incorporating these practices into our daily routines, we can gradually cultivate a more detached perspective, allowing us to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and wisdom. Remember, the goal isn't to become cold or unfeeling, but to find freedom and peace in accepting the ever-changing nature of our world. As we delve deeper into our exploration of impermanence, we encounter a powerful ally in the practice of mindfulness. At first glance, these two concepts might seem unrelated, but upon closer examination, we find that mindfulness serves as a gateway to truly embracing the Stoic principle of impermanence. Mindfulness, at its core, is about being fully present in the moment, observing our thoughts and experiences without judgment. This state of awareness aligns perfectly with the Stoic emphasis on accepting reality as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. By cultivating mindfulness, we train ourselves to observe the constant flux of our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings, making the reality of impermanence more apparent and easier to accept. Consider how often we cling to thoughts or emotions, believing them to be permanent fixtures of our identity. Through mindfulness, we learn to watch these mental phenomena arise and pass away, much like clouds drifting across the sky. This observation naturally leads us to a deeper understanding of impermanence, as we witness firsthand the transient nature of our inner experiences. Moreover, mindfulness practices can help us develop the emotional resilience necessary to let go. As we become more attuned to our present moment experiences, we cultivate a sense of equanimity, a balanced, non-reactive state of mind. This equanimity allows us to face change and loss with greater composure, embodying the Stoic ideal of maintaining inner peace regardless of external circumstances. In practical terms, incorporating mindfulness into our daily lives can take many forms. We might start with simple breathing exercises, focusing our attention on the sensation of each inhale and exhale. As we progress, we can extend this awareness to other aspects of our experience: the taste of our food, the feeling of our feet touching the ground as we walk, or the subtle shifts in our emotional landscape throughout the day. By consistently returning our attention to the present moment, we gradually loosen our grip on the past and future. This shift in perspective aligns perfectly with the Stoic approach to impermanence, as it helps us recognize that our only true point of influence is the present moment. The past is gone, the future is yet to come, and all we have is the ever-changing now. Ultimately, the synergy between mindfulness and the Stoic approach to impermanence offers us a powerful toolkit for navigating life's uncertainties. As we cultivate awareness and acceptance of the present moment, we simultaneously develop the capacity to let go of what no longer serves us, embracing change as an inevitable and potentially transformative force in our lives. Yet it is this. By this doesn't The our When we lose someone or something dear to us, we can find solace in reflecting on the impermanence of all things. We can ask ourselves, did we truly expect to keep this person or thing forever? Was it not a gift to have had them in our lives at all? By reframing our loss as a natural conclusion to a temporary blessing, we can cultivate gratitude for what we had rather than resentment for what we've lost. Moreover, the Stoic emphasis on focusing on what is within our control can be particularly helpful in times of grief. We cannot control death or loss, but we can control our response to it. We can choose to honor the memory of what we've lost by living virtuously and making the most of our own finite time. In practice, this might mean allowing ourselves to feel our grief fully, but not letting it consume us. It might mean engaging in meaningful activities that honor the memory of what we've lost. It could involve reflecting on the lessons and growth that came from what we no longer have. Remember, acceptance doesn't mean approval. We can accept the reality of our loss without liking it. This acceptance is not resignation, but a powerful act of embracing reality as it is, which allows us to move forward with clarity and purpose. By viewing our experiences of loss through the lens of impermanence, we can find a measure of peace. We can recognize that while the pain of grief is real and valid, it too shall pass. This understanding can provide us with the strength to endure, to continue living fully even in the face of loss. In essence, Stoic philosophy reminds us that in a world of constant change, our ability to adapt and find meaning in all experiences, including loss, is our greatest strength. It teaches us that true resilience lies not in avoiding pain, but in facing it with wisdom, courage, and an open heart. In our journey through life, we often find ourselves caught up in the past or anxiously anticipating the future. But by recognizing the impermanent nature of all things, we can unlock a profound appreciation for the present moment. This awareness of impermanence is not meant to instill fear or sadness, but rather to awaken us to the preciousness of each passing second. Consider the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This wisdom reminds us that while we cannot control the fleeting nature of life, we can choose how we respond to it. By embracing impermanence, we free ourselves from the burden of clinging to what was or what might be, allowing us to fully engage with what is. Imagine holding a delicate flower in your hand. You know it will wither, yet this knowledge doesn't diminish its beauty. Instead, it enhances your appreciation of its fragrance, its color, its very existence in this moment. This is how we can approach each experience in our lives. To cultivate this mindset, we can practice daily gratitude. Each morning, take a moment to acknowledge 3 things you're thankful for. They need not be grand. Perhaps it's the warmth of sunlight on your face, the aroma of your morning coffee, or the sound of birdsong outside your window. By regularly recognizing these small joys, we train our minds to seek out and savor the beauty in our everyday lives. Another powerful technique is mindful observation. Choose an object or scene and study it intently for a few minutes. Notice its details, its textures, its colors. This practice grounds us in the present, reminding us that each moment is unique and will never come again. We can also use our breath as an anchor to the present. Throughout the day, pause and take 3 deep, conscious breaths. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. This simple act can instantly bring you back to the here and now, away from regrets of the past or worries about the future. Remember, the present moment is the only time we truly have. The past is a memory, the future a projection. By fully inhabiting each moment, we live more authentically and completely. As Seneca wisely said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Embracing impermanence doesn't mean we stop planning or forget our experiences. Rather, it allows us to engage more fully with life as it unfolds. We become more adaptable, more resilient, and more alive to the wonders that surround us every day. In recognizing that nothing lasts forever, we paradoxically find a deeper, richer experience of life itself. In our journey through life, we often find ourselves setting goals and harboring expectations. These are natural human tendencies driven by our ambitions and desires for growth. However, when we apply the Stoic principle of impermanence to this process, we can transform our approach in profound ways. Consider for a moment the nature of goals. We set them with the future in mind, often imagining a fixed outcome. But as we've explored throughout this episode, nothing in life is truly fixed or permanent. By embracing this truth, we can set goals with a different mindset, one that values the process over the outcome. When we understand impermanence, we recognize that our goals themselves may shift and change. What seemed important a year ago might not hold the same significance today. This realization allows us to hold our goals more lightly, to be more flexible and adaptable in our pursuits. This doesn't mean we abandon ambition altogether. Rather, we learn to balance our drive with a sense of detachment. We can work diligently towards our objectives while simultaneously accepting that the path may twist and turn in unexpected ways. This approach fosters resilience, allowing us to navigate setbacks and changes with greater ease. Applying impermanence to our expectations is equally transformative. Often, disappointment stems from rigid expectations that clash with the fluid nature of reality. By loosening our grip on specific outcomes, we open ourselves to a wider range of possibilities. We become more present, more appreciative of the journey itself, rather than fixating solely on the destination. This shift in perspective can be particularly powerful in our professional lives. Instead of tying our sense of worth to achieving a particular position or salary, we can focus on continuous growth and learning. We can set goals that align with our values while remaining open to how these goals might manifest or evolve. In our personal relationships too, understanding impermanence can lead to more fulfilling connections. Rather than expecting others to behave in fixed ways or relationships to follow predetermined paths, we can appreciate each moment for what it is. We can nurture our bonds without clinging to them, allowing space for natural evolution and change. As we apply this principle to goal setting and expectations, we cultivate a mindset of openness and acceptance. We learn to dance with life's uncertainties rather than resist them. This approach doesn't diminish our aspirations. Instead, it infuses them with a sense of wisdom and perspective. In essence, by embracing impermanence in our goals and expectations, we free ourselves from the tyranny of fixed outcomes. We create space for growth, adaptation, and serendipity. And in doing so, we align ourselves more closely with the ever-changing flow of life itself. As we conclude our exploration of impermanence through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we're reminded that change is not just inevitable but a vital part of our existence. By embracing the transient nature of life, we open ourselves to a profound sense of peace and liberation. Remember, our power lies not in controlling external circumstances, but in cultivating our inner resilience and wisdom. As you move forward, I encourage you to practice detachment, to cherish each moment, and to find strength in the ever-changing flow of life. By doing so, you'll not only navigate challenges with greater ease, but also experience a deeper, more authentic form of fulfillment. Let impermanence be your teacher, guiding you towards a life of purpose, gratitude, and unwavering inner calm.